What's up, you guys? I just want to say we are so back. I've spent some time off, and it's been for a good reason. I mean, I've been in a great deal of pain with recovering from my ACL, but like I've been suffering also a fair bit without being able to train as well. In MMA, I've been going through it, man. But you know what? I got a PC now. I've still been watching these UFC cards, and I've been making quick picks on the fly. I just haven't been uploading them because, Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze main event. So I got a new PC, fellas. Like, dude, I'm so happy. I've been just grinning all the time, dude. I just can't stop smiling, bro. I've got a new PC, so I hope that the improvement in quality will lead me to being able to like show more of myself. And also, we can go full steam ahead from here since I'm not going to be waiting like 30 minutes in between like clicking a few buttons on my old MacBook Air, bro. Like, I got a beautiful PC here, thank God. So we're going to get right into the picks. This is going to be a UFC Fight Night Apex card. Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. We're going to start from the bottom of the prelims. We're going to go all the way up to the top of the card. The very first fight on the card is going to be Vanessa demopulous versus Talita Alencar. And we're going to get this one going here. We have a little breakdown of their stats. I can show the screen now, bro. I can show the screen. Before, my other computer would have died. But, like, look at us now, dude. I can't believe it. I'm an actual MMA content creator, you guys. So I have the best picks on YouTube. If you haven't been here before now, we're about to get right to it. I'm about to give you some of the best picks ever. Best picks ever. So here, Vanessa demopulous versus Talita Alencar. This is going to be a battle of Apex scum. Vanessa demopulous is a game fighter who won't just roll over. She is not very good, though. Talita Alencar, she's a woman who lost to a girl who drew with her on the Contender Series and also got beat up by a woman who recently got sunned by Pooja Tomar, and her name is Ryan Dos Santos. So this is honestly, like, this is everything that I'm weighing here. Talita Alencar lost basically all of her fights in the UFC. That Dos Santos lady was robbed in broad daylight, and she was gifted a decision on like minus 560 odds going into the last round. So that is crazy. This is a weird matchup. I feel like a lot of these are kind of lopsided matchups where, like, of course this person is going to win. I'm going to pick Vanessa demopulous because, I mean, she is a can, but I mean, she can win, and all of her wins are like quality enough for her to have running jokes, like her jumping into Joe Rogan's arms. She's kind of known on the internet for something else, but I mean, we won't get into that, I think she has a decent skill set, though, and she wins these decisions over girls more convincingly than Talita Alencar, and that's going to be the biggest point that I will make here. Demopulous' last loss was to Jacqueline Amorim, who's going to be a much bigger and stronger girl than Talita Alencar is. She's a lot more threatening with her grappling as well, so I think this is just because she has that larger frame, so Vanessa demopulous herself will be bigger than Talita Alencar, and I think that I can see her bullying the smaller opponent that she will have. Maybe even all 15 minutes she'll just be on her and then eventually break her down in the later rounds and get that finish. The TKO will come late. Demopulous beat up Ducote, and Ducote, as far as the striking goes, she's like a proper boxer, so the fact that demopulous will come forward and throw strikes, it just kind of makes her win by default, honestly. She probably beats a shiny hematoma into Alencar's forehead, so unanimous decision for Vanessa demopulous is going to be the pick. We're moving on to the next fight. Let's see. That one is going to be Martin Buday. Bro, honestly, I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I was writing the script. I started with Vanessa demopulous. I think they just added this fight, to be honest. I'm not sure what fell through, but I did not have like a formal pick lined up for Martin Buday versus Uran Saltybaldiev. Saltybaldiev? Oh, hell nah, bruh. Dude, this guy's name is Uran Saltybaldiev. Are you being for real? Nah, let's see who this guy has fought. Bro, Uran Saltybaldiev? Uran Saltybaldiev. I know you lying. Gorilla? This is not a joke. He's 9-0. Where is he from? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We have a Kyrgyz fighter on our hands, dude. And he's fought out of LFA. Let's see. Kimura. Bruno assist punches from back control. Bro, this guy might be a savage, dude, honestly. Martin Buday, let's see what he'd be on. God, heavyweight is so trash. This guy got beat up by Shamil Gaziev. I do remember that. He got knocked out by Shamil Gaziev. He beat Arlovsky though, which I mean, like, if you're not beating Arlovsky at this point, what the heck, dude? He beat up Josh Parisian. So I mean, this guy might be a little bit better than Rebellis de Spain. This Uran Saltybaldiev guy though. Oh no, bro, no, we're picking him. We're picking him. It's got to be him. Uran Saltybaldiev. His name is literally Uran Salty Balls. His name is Uran Salty Balls. And, like, he's about to win this fight against Martin Buday. And he's going to take that number 15 ranking. And we're going to get a fun heavyweight that we're going to all be fans of. This is going to be exciting. So, the next fight is going to be Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao. We'll take a look at this a bit deeper. This is going to be a good fight, honestly. Pedro Falcao doesn't really demonstrate UFC-level striking. In his fight against Victor Hugo, he was all wrestling on the feet and, like, it kind of looked like he was just a free trial guy at an MMA gym. And if Victor Henry has any level of technique, I think he can comfortably win this fight the same way that he pieced up Ronnie Yaya, leading to the third round submission victory that he scored in that fight. So Javid Basharat pretty much ragdolled and controlled this guy. We're talking about Victor Henry. And Jourdain was able to choke him after scaring him with big shots on the feet and just getting him to shoot into a guillotine. He just gave up his neck. So Falcao isn't like the wrestler that Basharat is. And I don't think that he is anywhere close to being the striker that Jourdain is. So I say that Henry wins this fight. He'd only lose by just being too calm against the guy that he knows is a level below the people that he would usually compete against, whether or not he wins or loses. So, I mean, if Henry just gets wrestled in this fight, if it's just a complete wrestle spam clinic without him being able to do anything about it, I kind of would just be funny since I'm picking him. But if anything, I see him using the Victor Hugo method to land clean and meaningful shots when he isn't trying, like, to get taken down, you know? And if he does make it to the mats, Lord have mercy on Victor Henry's soul. And I really do mean that, dude. I really do mean that. The next fight that we're going to talk about is going to be Loma Lookbonmee versus Istela Nunes. And this is a weird fight, too, because it seems like somebody's got money on Loma Lookbonmee, and that's why, like, the matchmakers made this fight. Why is she fighting this girl, dude? Loma Lookbonmee, she's like a true Thai woman kickboxer. And she was on a cool little run, having fun fights, and sometimes scoring finishes before she fought Denise Gomez, the really mannish-looking Brazilian woman. And she got beaten up really badly by her. But she's bounced back, though, with wins over Elise Reed by sub and a decision win over Bruna Brazil, who she fraud-checked because she was a Fighting Nerds prospect. So, honestly, I'd say that Loma Lookbonmee is forgiven. Istela Nunes, though, she has a 6-5 record, and she was 4-1 whenever she got into the UFC. So imagine this. She's currently on a 4-loss streak, 2 TKOs, 1 submission, and 1 majority decision, dude. So she is dirt. She's dirt, bro. And now she fights a girl who can give her a 3rd consecutive TKO loss and her 5th concurrent loss to make her record an even 6-6, bro. I can't even, like, imagine that, dude. So Loma Lookbonmee wins this fight via Winter Soldier ult, armed and dangerous, bro, in the first 30 seconds of round 1. And that's going to take us on to Rhys Mckee versus Daniel Frunza. So we'll take a look at this fight here. This should be a fun matchup. And it's honestly kind of funny because, like, I think that you can bet that they're going to be making some cuts this weekend, you guys. Because Rhys Mckee, he's a guy who joined the UFC at, like... Here, let me move this here. He's a guy who joined the UFC at, like, 10-2-1. And now he's 13-6-1, bro. And he lost the last 4 of his UFC fights. And his only 3 wins have come from Cage Warriors in his last 7 fights. Where he went... And he went there after being executed by Khamzat Chimaev and dropping a decision to Alex Morono right after that. So the key phrasing here, this guy lost a decision to Alex Morono. And this was like mythical fighter Alex Morono whenever he looked like a world beater. But I mean, dude, like, in retrospect, you're supposed to win that fight, bro. So Mckee, he has very docile striking. He wilts with pressure, and he gets hit a ton. His defense isn't very good. Every time someone puts more than 3 punches on this guy at a time, he looks like he's about to get finished, whether he is actually in any real danger or not. So Frunza isn't like OD cold at fighting from the looks of his work in LFA, but he puts the pressure on, and he'll spend time chasing down Mckee, like, or just chasing him around the cage and hitting him. I think this will be worth a lot in the judges' eyes. Mckee throws long bolo uppercuts though, and then a lead hook afterwards. So maybe Frunza leaves himself open at times, and this combo could connect and finish the fight, which would be hilarious because I'm picking Frunza. But my guess though, I just think that Mckee will break very early. Mckee doesn't demonstrate the ability to grapple at a high level, but if he did, he would likely be able to expose the shortcomings of Frunza's takedown defense. He's not bad at getting up, but he can be mat returned because he isn't the best at stuffing takedowns, Daniel Frunza. So I can just see Mckee low-key getting knocked the fuck out before he any of this could potentially happen. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is going to be Diana Belbita versus Dione Barboza. So let's look at this fight. I'm excited for this one. We've been waiting all week for Diana Belbita versus Diane Barboza. Man, I can't wait, dude. Dude, I never realized, how bad some of these women's records are. Are we... Bro, let's just take a second. Are we all looking at 15-9-0 right there, bro? I know it's a long-running joke that these fighters have horrible topologies, but, Belbita is dog water, bro. And she has some really embarrassing losses to women fighters either, way past their prime or who were never really even that good to begin with. She lost to Kovalkiewicz in 2023 and Molly McCann last year. So this makes me never want to pick her ever. So, I mean, Diane Barboza, she beat Ernesta Karačketa and most recently lost to Miranda Maverick in July of last year. Maverick showed herself to be a promising prospect in women's 125 though. So losses to fighters of her caliber, I think that you can let those ones go for a low level prelim fighter like this, So Belbita, I think she gets beaten up the same way that Gloria De Paula beat her. And she didn't even start wrestling. Gloria De Paula, who is a grappler, she didn't even start wrestling until the third round. And she was able to control this fight in the stand-up, and she never looked out of control of it at any point. So Diana Barboza is just a much better grappler than Belbita by default, and I think that she'll likely be a better striker than her too, based on what skills she's demonstrated so far. So I think this is a comfortable decision win for Barboza. So the next fight is going to be Davey Grant versus Daniel Santos. We're going to move on to that one right here. All these different Charles Oliveira's running around, who even knows who is who at this point, dude? These shooter box guys, they all look like each other. It's so hard to distinguish them. Daniel Santos, Charles Oliveira, Daniel Lacerda. I was hard to name them because they're just all so close in resemblance, man. And that's not racist. I hope that's not being interpreted as that. They just all look so similar, dude. So after his loss to Daniel Marcos, I wanted to write off Davey Grant. And I was doing silly things, guessing that Ramon Tavares would blast off, Davey Grant's chin. And that was really stupid of me because Ramon Tavares actually sucks. So the lesson that I learned in this fight is that Davey Grant is not done. He's far from done. And he can still win a lot of fights against a lot of different bantamweights. So Daniel Santos has some very interesting fights that are usually fun with his high-octane style that doesn't really prioritize defense that much. He has a real risk of being stopped by someone like Davey Grant, who always has output and clean striking for all of his opponents. So I like Davey Grant here. Santos has pretty solid wins against John Castaneda by knockout, and then he won against Johnny Munoz just recently. Not recently, in 2023. I think he's been sidelined to injuries, but he's coming back 2 years off, I think it was. He was supposed to fight Umnar, but he hasn't competed since he pulled out of that fight. So we got a ring-rusted Daniel Santos, who still may be a little bit compromised with an injury that he never really disclosed, which is smart, but he probably gets mopped up by a Davey Grant who has never stopped competing and has a lot of experience, even from the last 2 years worth of UFC fights that Daniel Santos has been forced to sit out from. Daniel Santos has one finish in the UFC against John Castaneda, who is a reputable name in his weight class. I mean, he had a really hard time in this fight, though, and was almost finished 2 times in round 1. Castaneda dropped this guy with a straight after folding him with a head kick nearly. He nearly got up out of there with his head kick. It dropped him. They grapple a little bit, stand up. John Castaneda drops a straight right or left on him. He sits again. It's really embarrassing, dude. And then he locks in the second round, and he gets a finish on some true Charles Oliveira timing, dude. So it's really hard to say how things will ever go with these guys. But one thing for sure is that Grant will not fold up before Daniel Santos starts trying to get his kickboxing going, So if he's waiting for the moment where Davey Grant is slowing down and starting to get weaker with his offense, dude, that's not going to happen. And if he has defensive concerns still, Daniel Santos, in this 2 years that he's like worked on his game through, that is not going to go well with Davey Grant. Davey Grant's going to get him up out of there. So I think that a Grant decision is imminent, but I like this guy, so I'm going to root for him to win this fight via round 2 stoppage, and I want it to be a very sleepy, like nap time KO. So that's what I hope happens. Hope that it can deliver on those levels. The next fight is going to be Robert Valentine versus Torrez Finney. Torrez Finney looks like a sexually frustrated cartoon apple. He made his first appearance on the Contender Series, and he won a very uneventful decision that did not earn him a contract. Dana White was like, no, I do not want 5'8" middleweight in my organization. And so they turned him away. He goes into a separate organization, and he knocked an opponent out stiff there. So I think it was like a Dagestani fighter too, or something crazy like that. It was a not bad opponent. He knocks him out cold. So now he's back on a contract, and he's fighting on the main event against a very subpar grappler who is able to easily be bested by Ryan Loder, who has chops as a wrestler. He's a wrestling coach at American Top Team. But I think that Valentine just got beat up way too badly in this fight by a non-striker for me to assume that he won't get slept by Finney, who is better at striking than Loder is, if we're just talking about pure ability. Which is funny to say because he looks like that. This guy's physique is the best in the UFC organization, bro. Forget Leon Edwards, all of that stuff that people be talking. Arnold Allen, bro, forget all that, bro. This guy, this is what peak male performance is. So I think that it's very important that he does knock out Robert Valentine so that they can promote what peak male athleticism looks like at the highest level of our sport. And that is Torrez Finney, you guys. So nobody's going to be super into the idea of a 5'8" middleweight. Duran Wynn was the last experiment, and he failed horribly, bro. Like, dude was getting knocked out by, Phil Hawes, which is crazy. And he even had the help of, DC and Khabib. So I wonder how this goes. Finney is just my boy because he looks the way that he does, honestly. And I want to revel in his victories for the fact that he is so funny looking. So if he doesn't knock this guy out, as soon as the first bell rings, what's really even the point? Really, dude. That's what we're watching this fight for. So I'm going to predict a round 1 KO for Torrez Finney. The next fight is going to be Ode Osbourne versus Luis Gurule. Gurule? 47? I don't know. Anyways, some fighters do just enough to win their performances, and it's mainly just them getting by. There's a few examples of these fighters that we can think of. We're not going to say any names, though, because we don't like to single people out here. That's not what we do. But Ode Osbourne, I think that he's a fighter who gets by on how close he is to almost winning every time. The organization is oh, kid, you got robbed. We're going to make it up to you this time. But it was literally just the difference in him just putting on the pace a little bit more in certain moments of the fight that could have maybe gotten him wins, or being a more bit technical with his defense so he doesn't get dropped at certain moments of the fight. I don't know. Ode Osbourne just kind of seems like a salesman. It's just really weird. He literally almost starched Ronaldo Rodriguez in his last fight, Lazy Boy, and he still somehow managed to fold up and lose a decision, which is just ridiculous. And I think that Luis Gurule, though, has the defense and the ability from power and his grappling skills too. And he has good acumen on the floor. I think that he would be able to control someone like Osbourne, just like Rodriguez was able to. And I think that whenever he takes a win out of Ode's sales, he could drop him easily or even early on in the fight. So it's weird because a mainstay of this division, like Ode, can be a tough out for any debuting fighter, though. So I'm not really sold on the idea that Luis Gurule will just come out and steamroll him. But I'm also not really sold on the idea that we could really even call Ode Osbourne a gatekeeper who is skilled. He might be a gatekeeper, but I don't know. There's just no depth in flyweight. So, we got Ode Osbourne's close to the top of the division, right outside the rankings and stuff. It's weird. Although Luis is only 5'5" as well, I think that he doesn't really have any glaring defensive issues that would lead to him getting put away early. He's just kind of short. That's it's kind of it. He's pretty short. So, Ode Osbourne is liable to make bad IQ decisions that get him slept, going for a naked flying knee from 20 feet away against Tyson Nam that got him chinned in that fight. But I don't know. He may fight risky since he feels like he's just so much bigger and more imposing than this guy is, bro. He has 2 inches of height and then 9 inches of reach and advantage over this guy. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to predict that the underdog wins, though, because Ode isn't anything super special, and flyweight does need new talent. So hopefully Luis Gurule is a little tank. We need a little Patricio Pitbull in flyweight, who's going to come and just dog some shit. So I need him to exist as a threat in this division that arguably should not exist. Gurule by first round knockout. I can just feel it. My sources are just trust me, bro. So we're going to move on to the next fight. That's going to be Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meershaert. And this should be a fun one. Not really, honestly. This might just be a stinky fight. The best thing that we could hope for is a GM3 sub, and that's what I'm really going to pick. So it does look like time has caught up to our boy GM3 a little bit, and that the title run may be done since now he's been relinquished to fighting with Brad Tavares on Fight Nights in the Apex in 2025, but at least it's on the main card, you know? So, I mean, this guy, Brad Tavares' last win was against Chris Weidman when he'd just come back from a leg break that he clearly was not ready to return from. And he still had a close fight with Brad because of his attempts at wrestling. So GM3 is a pure grappler. He only really displays some issues in the boxing and in cardio and can be caught and finished once he gets tired in the later rounds. My thing, though, is that I just don't think that Tavares is so much better at striking than GM3 that he won't get the opportunity to wrestle first. So I think this should be easy work for my boy, Gerald Meershaert, who will likely just come out and wet blanket this guy until the arm triangle is just right there. So my official pick is going to be a round 2 sub for GM3. Lock that in. The next fight is going to be Cortavious Romius versus Changho Lee. Let's take a look at this. It's a cool haircut. So Cortavious Romius is a Bellator chica. You little Bellator chica. You little Bellator. But he's put together some good wins in his career. He's got this little win streak axed, though, by a fighter named Gaston Bolaños, who isn't really like a crazy prospect, shown by like a fighter named Mckee, who is basically who every boxing heavy fighter in bantamweight wants to be. He knocked that guy out. Changho Lee has some cool hands on him too, I guess. He fought Xiao Long in Saudi Arabia and had a pretty trash fight with that guy, to be honest. It really just looked like a bar scrap, but I don't know if he'll be as risky this time. Romius has a submission bag on him. That's another thing that I want to acknowledge. He can grapple, and I think that he could implement some grappling strategy that would make a difference in this fight. So I want to predict that Changho Lee gets controlled in all clinches, and Romius just straight up throws him off the cage and subs him like on the cage or in the center of the octagon in round 2. That's going to be my official pick. I don't really like the way that Changho Lee fights, man. It's too sporadic and uncontrolled. He just looks like if you or I were to go in there and fight. It's kind of like, I don't know. I like the passion, it's cool, but we're just going to talk about the next one. It's going to be Pat Sabatini versus Joe Anderson Brito. Brito has humiliated me. He's absolutely made me look like a boo-boo the fool, bro. He called out Dan Ige, and then he lost to William Gomez. Bro, if you're going to take a shot at the king, bro, you better not miss. And I was backing him to be like, yeah, I want to see Joe Anderson Brito versus Dan Ige. That's the fight. Because he wanted it. Dan Ige would have definitely taken it if it made sense, but it doesn't now because he lost. So now he's fighting Pat Sabatini. So, this is another guy who Brito should knock out. He was supposed to knock out Gomez. He's supposed to knock out Pat Sabatini. And if he doesn't, he is gone from one of the scariest men in MMA to an actual can, bro. He might actually be a can who loses to Pat Sabatini, bro. And I don't think that winning against Pat Sabatini is like this crazy achievement that the organization wants us to believe that it is. Whenever people win fights against him, they try to build up Diego Lopez this way by just letting him beat Pat Sabatini and then giving him like a really high profile fight afterwards. So I don't know, man. If Brito loses, it's going to be by sub, and that will be a disgrace to us all. So that's why I'm saying that Brito goes with the Diego Lopez method here, and he sleeps this guy out in round 1. It has to be this way. If it's not, I'm just even more embarrassed. So the next fight that we're going to talk about is going to be Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. This is going to be the main event of the entire card. Let's go up to it right now. All right, let's get into this one. So yeah, Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. One thing I want to mention off top too. Nice beard, Josh Emmett. Speaking of Josh Emmett, dude, and speaking of fighters who are not what the organization wants us to believe, Josh Emmett, bro, he's scary. Bryce Mitchell knockout, but dude, he's not that scary. And it really depends on how dynamic the striker that he's facing is. And I'd wager to guess that if you are someone like Lerone Murphy who can beat up Dan Ige using your skill set, and this is a fist fight where you can kick and wrestle, you can probably beat up Josh Emmett in a fight with the same rules, dude. And Lerone Murphy just isn't a very fun fighter to watch, but he's proficient in what he does do well, which is like a little bit of everything. So I think he'll do a good job in the clinch and also with his defense, so I don't see him getting clubbed with an overhand like Bryce Mitchell did. I don't think it would ever be that easy for Josh Emmett in a fight with someone like Lerone Murphy, who could go tit for tat with a technician like Edson Barboza, even though he didn't really kick that much in the fight. That was like Edson Barboza off of the Paulo Costa wine. I'm not sure. It's really hard to gauge how good Lerone Murphy is. I think he's somewhere better than Josh Emmett. So that's why I think that this is going to be a decision. One, because I think that Lerone Murphy is better than Josh Emmett. Two, because Josh Emmett is impossible to finish. So if he does come out here and like knock this guy out, I don't know. Like, I can't even imagine that happening, dude. But if it does, I'm going to be blown away. I will be a fan of Lerone Murphy by Monday if that happens. So I don't know. Josh Emmett's definitely going to try to land that overhand for 25 minutes. I think it will just miss and slap his guard. But realistically, I think this is going to be a kind of a crummy fight, and I am going to watch it anyways. So stay tuned for a card recap, because I can do those now. If you are new here and you enjoyed this video, thank you for sticking around up until this point, and also, please subscribe. I will have more content coming. I can't even contain my excitement, dude, literally. This PC has put a lot of power back into my hands so that I can do this, and this is what I want to do. So please follow along. I will be around.